Hi guys, today we're going to have a look at the new Kaihua / Novelkeys box navy switches. I've previously done a teardown video about the white box switches they released earlier, as well as a review of a cherry keyboard I decked out with them, which is this thing. The thing that makes these clicky box switches noteworthy is the click bar they employ, which has to my knowledge never been used before, although Kaihua also used them on their bronze switches, but those haven't caught on as much. My conclusion of the white box switches at the time was that they're an interesting innovation and in some ways definitely an improvement over the more standard MX Blue switches, but that they could use some improvements, and I recommended that they install a thicker click bar, which should augment the somewhat lackluster tactility of the switches, as well as make the clicky noise, which is very high pitched, a bit deeper. And as it turns out, Mike from Novelkeys had exactly the same idea, which has resulted in these navy box switches, so obviously I had to try these out. I asked Kaihua if they could supply me with them, just like they did with the white ones, but because it's a custom product for Novelkeys, they weren't allowed to, and I had to get hold of them myself. So I asked Mike, and he graciously provided me with some samples. As always, I told him that I'd do the video impartially, and that I'd give my honest opinion, and that I'd point out flaws if I found them. So let's look at them in a little bit more detail. The switches, apart from the slider color, look pretty much the same, but the click bar is definitely thicker. Navy is the name of a dark blue color, which is what this is, but they also offer some other color options with rather exotic names like Jade, Burnt Orange, and Pale Blue. And I have to say that the names don't really speak for themselves. I found them rather confusing. In fact, at first I thought that the ones that turned out to be pale blue ones, which aren't actually that pale, were these navy ones, and I know I'm not the only one on this. Anyway, I measured the diameters of both click bars, and the one on the white switches is 0.25mm, and the one on the navy ones 0.30, so noticeably thicker, although it's not that easy to see with the naked eye. Mike told me that he had originally tried 0.35mm as well, but that the switch didn't work properly anymore at that diameter. But even at just 0.05 of a millimeter thicker, the effect is profound, to say the least. As expected, the thickness adds a lot more weight to the tactile bump, which severely increases the switch's tactility, and that is excellent because it was definitely the biggest weakness on the white boxes. Let's take a look at the force curves. Kaihua have some official ones, but these appear to be fake like most commercial ones are nowadays, but thankfully Hata saves the day again and has measured some himself. Looking at the white ones, the tactile bump appears to be roughly 18 grams in magnitude. Now looking at the one measured for the navy switch, and holy shit, it's more than doubled to roughly 40 grams, which makes it one of the most tactile switches I know of. I mean, that's roughly the same magnitude as Amber Alps, so we're talking some seriously tactile stuff here. And compare this to the 14-gram bump on MX Blues and the 10-gram bump on MX Brown, which is also nowhere near as sharp, by the way, and you can see what I'm getting at when I keep hammering the point that MX switches aren't very tactile switches. So we're definitely booking some progress here. And it really shows too, because geez, these things are tactile as all fuck. And that's exactly what I was hoping to get out of this click bar idea too, so yeah, see, now we're cooking with gas, now we're getting somewhere. They're very smooth too, factory lubed even, and very highly and sharply tactile, which are all excellent attributes, so far so good. They are quite stiff though, as they're the thick bar version of the pale blue box switch, which is a heavier version of white. There is also a thick bar version of the lighter white switch, which is called Jade. Again, the colors and nomenclature make absolutely no sense to me, but whatever. The Jade switch has the same bump as the navy one, or possibly slightly greater even, but at the lighter force of 65 grams at the tactile bump compared to 75 grams for navy. Anyway, I always try to reserve actual judgment on loose switches until I've tried them out for real in a whole keyboard, so just like I had with the white box switches, I've acquired a nice chassis for them, and I'm planning to do a review of a whole keyboard with these in at some point in the future, so stay tuned. That's it for this video, I hope you enjoyed it, and see you guys next time.
Untitled Chapter.